Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's the 20th of May 2024 and the time is 12:29 p.m. Good afternoon. As you can see, I've just stepped out of the shower and dressed. I'm late getting motivated today. I had a very bad night. Very bad night. I was up 8 times last night. And so I felt very drained, so I just sort of got up. I woke up at 8 a.m. this morning and I sort of got up, made a cup of tea, had a bit of breakfast and sort of moseyed on back to bed for a while. And I had a lovely chat with my friend Jackie Burns. And then I thought, well, now it's time to rattle my dags, as they say in New Zealand, and greet the day and wash and I had to wash my hair. It's so oily. It's a sign of weakness in my body when it's constantly oily like that. But well, hello. But I'm okay. I'm moving through the day beautifully, and it is indeed a lovely sunny day outside. So I should be making this video outside with Charlie, but then I have problems with reflections and not being able to read the screen properly. So we're inside, and Charlie's very happy to be with me because she's been cooped up most of the morning, and life is pretty good actually, all in all. So today's readings of even date is of the 20th of May 2024 is titled The Four Directions, Which End Is Up? Not my end yet. Lots of beauty still to co-create and full vibrancy to express. Time to dance. And here I posted a photograph. This is actually laid into the floor and into the paving at Mount Cootha Lookout, same thing, different stripes. And indeed there are the four directions, and it's kind of cute that that's come up in my memories because I made my shamanic offerings yesterday to the four directions and the fairy realms. And so that's back in 2020 when I took that photo. I was with my daughter. She took me out for took the old girl out for a bit of an airing. And kind of interesting because it's my former wedding anniversary as well. Although she probably was taking me out as a kind of a belated Mother's Day thing, you know, because every now and then they play along nicely with the old I hate my mother, but I love my mother trope. It's ancestral, people. It's been handed down through intergenerational trauma and handed down in the very DNA. So I don't struggle with it so much. I just accept and move on. Be like a river that only touches the same stone once. Just keep flowing in the four directions. Always know your way forwards. Try not to look back in anger and keep moving forward with great dignity and aplomb and peace in your heart, knowing there is nothing you could do differently. You can't change the past. You can only create a future out of the bare bones and the woven tapestry threads of this present moment. It's a scary thought, isn't it? Like 5 years from now, I could be looking at this video going, what drugs was she on, man? Like what was psychedelic dreamer on? Only solifenacin and vitamin D and my usual folic acid. So it's all good, people. The solifenacin's definitely not working, but my friend Jackie, who's a registered nurse by profession, pointed out that the extra bladder activity last night might be a delayed reaction to the 3 alcoholic drinks I had on Friday, and it might be the alcohol driving it. She could be right there. It sounds quite scientific and logical. Last night was Sunday night, early Monday morning, and I danced wildly and joyously on Friday. Saturday I was kind of in recovery mode. Sunday yesterday, yeah, kind of had still a bit tired. So yeah, maybe that is a contributing factor. She said it might contraindicate the solifenacin. She could be right. She's a nurse. She's a medically trained person. She may very well be right. So anyway, but I don't think 3 drinky poos should be too much of a problem, considering usually I have 4. But I guess, if the body of the Tanya wants to misbehave and act out, then she will indeed misbehave and act out. She does what she wants, whatever. I have to continuously remind her that my mind and soul is in charge of this flesh suit and to behave herself. Every now and then she just acts out, and that's okay too. Bodies know what they need to feel safe and comfortable and cherished and nurtured, by the way. So I'm not doing anything that I can be ashamed of, really. Just every now and then a little bit of mischief, because I'm alive, but nothing more than that. And I like it that way, actually, because it keeps me safe too. And I like my freedom, which most of the time my freedom keeps me safe as well. So, oh Charlie, there go your friends. You going to say hello to your friends? It's a scaly-breasted lorikeet. Can you hear it? You say hello? It's a very cheeky bird. Say hello to Charlie. Look, she's in a prison behind a window screen. But, just did a massive poo. But there you go, Charlie. The birdie's come to see you. You're a very popular birdie. It's because you've got a very cool mama who whistles and talks to the birdies all the time, and they want to know who you are and why you have such a cool human. Talk about confabulating stories, am I right? But anyway, I kind of think some of the wild birds that come to my garden do think I'm kind of cool. They're trying to work out how it is that I have my own pet lorikeet, and they even fly over my head, right close over my head sometimes. One time the king parrot came. I always scream out when the king parrot comes to my garden, because they're not here that often, the two of them. But I always scream out, "Oh my God, the king is here!" And he's so cheeky, that bird. He flew across the garden and in mid-flight tapped me on the top of my crown chakra with his 2 feet mid-flight, deliberate, like kind of went, put his landing gear down, tapped me on the head, kept flying onto the roof, and then perched there and just looked at me like this. Isn't it sweet when you get acknowledgement from your kings in such a sweet romantic gesture, even from the wild birds? So I reckon, all things considered, Mama T, aka the Tanya, aka Miss 5, aka Psychedelic Dreamer, is doing okay. I'll accept the love in however form it manifests, as long as it's sweet and authentic. If it comes from a wild male bird, that's good enough for me. However, Charlie's not too keen on the king parrots getting too close to her. I think they're sworn enemies. But anyway, I managed to keep harmonic resonance on this land, sacred space, most of the time, don't I, Charlie? Most of the time. Sometimes the birdies all have massive wars too. Like the Indian miners were having a massive fight sometime during this week. Can't remember who they were fighting, but there was about 10 of them. Oh, it was on for young and old, Charlie. So here we go. I'll carry on. I'm feeling a bit silly today, can you tell? I'll carry on with my readings of even date. Birdies do fight with each other. There's quite a few. A lot of aggression. Some species actually kill other species. They can be quite savage. So Charlie is safe with me because we're oddball birdies sitting in our perch in our home, not interacting with the wild ones too much, because otherwise there'd be anarchy and chaos. Mama T would have to rein them all back in, and I'm tired and it's too much hard work. But anyway, you kind of have to laugh at that. So, 20th of May 2023. Well, that's a bit boring, isn't it? But oh well, I wrote it down, so I'll read it to you. 8:45 p.m. Not well. Coughing up phlegm. Yuck. I drank some mullein tea to try to drive it off my chest. It's definitely working. No wonder I felt off the past few days. So it was good to drive all that icky crap off my lungs. My lungs are already compromised. Don't really have much room to store icky crap on them, so it had to go. I considered going out dancing again this evening, but I better stay warm and dry and guard my chest instead. Good self-care, Tanya Aarons. It's about bloody time, isn't it? It is indeed. I guess working through that bad cold the last week and a half has left me depleted and fragile, I think. But I went into warrior goddess mode, and even though I was actually quite ill, I worked like a crazed maniacal Trojan. I was unstoppable. So of course the crash had to come. What goes up must always come down, people. If you overachieve and overwork yourself when you are actually unwell, the crash is going to be intense. Anyway, here I continue writing, probably a bit later in the day. Oh, actually, no, if that was posted at 8:45, this was probably written earlier in the day. Sometimes I work backwards in the chronology on my Facebook and vocal media. All right, here we go. Are you ready? It's going to be depressing for me, people, but here we go. 39 years ago, try 40 years ago today. It's an astonishing thought. 40 years. But anyway, I wrote this last year, so we'll stick to the program. 39 years ago, I was a bride. This began the invidious chipping away at my personhood. Began shortly after the wedding ceremony, when my groom insisted I get changed out of my bridal clothes so he could feel more comfortable. I was not even allowed one special day. Bear in mind, though, that we were kind of in grief mode as well because his father had died 2 nights before. But, you know, you're only a bride once in your life if you do it right, people. And he had to ruin that for me. So this was all seeping into my consciousness on the day I married him, by the way. And a wiser, less brittle, less broken woman would have walked out then and there, actually. Regrets. I have many. But anyway, I did not want to fail and go back to my bastard family of origin who were equally cruel. And so I was kind of trapped between the frying pan or the fire. Am I right? I'm right. Here I write, I should have realised there and then that I had married a man-baby and a monster. But I launched myself into denial and thought that being a wife was success. A common trope of women in New Zealand and Australia who got married young in the 70s and 80s. It was kind of the thing that, almost a cultural thing. We threw our freedom away and deemed success as having a man Even if that man was a prick to you, it was still a success. But we were programmed to believe that, brainwashed by our education system and our families and our communities and our tribes and our society, and it took me a long time to deprogram from that. There is absolutely nothing successful about sleeping in a bed next to a man who literally hates you, dishonours you, disrespects you, badmouths you to all his friends, family, workmates even, and then you have to have marital relations as well with a man that despises you. Do you know how that makes you feel? It makes a woman feel, apart from being unloved and uncherished, she feels like she's being raped, because sexual relations with a man that you're supposed to love and supposed to love you is supposed to be a beautiful, joyous, comforting, soul-nourishing, orgasmic, delightful experience, as opposed to, almost a body function to keep your marriage and your children and your lifestyle together. It's that fucking empty when you're married to a soulless, vicious, dull intellect psychopath, by the way. Anyway. It wasn't all bad, I guess. I got fed well. That's one reason to put up with shit. Had a beautiful home, paid for freehold, roof over my head. I had some of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs met, but I didn't have real, authentic, devoted, sincere, heartfelt love, did I? Not in my childhood, not in my marriage, not with the relationships that eventually came after my marriage broke down. I've never had it, except for my delightful and heartfelt and authentic and sincere friendships, without whom I probably would have died long ago. So, thank you to my beloved ones. Anyway, I continue writing. I threw myself into motherhood with great zeal, hoping against hope to create the loving family I had never experienced. Overcompensating quite a lot on various vectors, by the way. I almost succeeded at that, being, all mother to my children, who now kind of are ambivalent and estranged and resent me. Charlie doesn't resent me, do you, Charlie? Because I'm a birdie mama and I got kicked out of the nest too. So I'm feeling you right now, kid. She's feeling me right now. Jesus. We're all oddballs and freaks, Charlie. That's what we've been reduced to. Oddballs and freaks. But I'm a beautiful freak of nature, and I've overcome most of those monstrosities. So I continue writing. I almost succeeded at that. I worked hard to hold my little family together, to hold myself together, but like a taut spring, it all eventually unravelled. 39 years later, I am here. 28 and a half years of solitude, now 29 and a half years. Time just keeps rolling on, and I just keep floating along on the edge of that wheel, hoping against hope for my real lover and my real life to begin. It's kind of ridiculous. Another 8 years of celibacy. Try 9 years now. Stronger, taught but no longer unravelling. Like a regrown umbilicus, I am tethered to this world in ways I never thought possible, holding my own, making my way, thriving, even with bad lungs and CPTSD, plus, plus, plus. I was a powerful little spirit to even have survived to be that young, trusting in the multiverse bride. And now I am still powerful, but shit got real and I can never look at life with such benighted sweetness again. Here's a photo of me, 19 years, 1 month and 8 days old. What that young woman didn't know, she didn't know, so she had to wing it through life a bit, and it wasn't easy. It's still not easy, but I'm pretty good at winging it, aren't I, Charlie? Yes, you are, Mama T, she says. Yes, you are. 59 years old, and my goodness, 40 years have gone like that. 2:29 a.m, home from dancing. I left at 1:38 a.m, having run out of my energy reservoirs. I had a nice time though. I got home and heated up spring rolls and chicken schnitzels for my dinner. I was hungry. I might go and get some from Aldi later. I'm hungry now. I've had 2 pieces of toast with honey for breakfast, but I'm kind of hungry. Time to drink my tea and wind down a bit before I go to sleep. I just feel like she's pooped on my chair. No, she hasn't. Innocent this time, Charlie. It's going to happen though. It's a given. It's guaranteed, isn't it, Charlie? Where's my kiss? She's just so difficult. She's just so difficult. She's like, nah, fool. All right, Charlie, you have the right to say no. Hashtag consent across the multiverses. May 20th, 2022. Reviewing my memories, I'm struck by how far I've come in 38 years, now 40 years. A long, hard, agonised road. A miracle that I even survived so many attempts on my life. The physical, the emotional, and even the demonic destruction wrought by knaves. Yesterday I had a strange kind of stoicism, an equanimity tinged by a kind of bathos. It's like my whole body was somatizing old trauma memories and the grief of losing Harry Aarons all those years ago. I rarely think about him now, but the 18th of May was his yahrzeit, so he was with me in thought all day. And my father-in-law truly was a good father to me, a good man, one of the few rare, decent men I had ever met in my life up to that point in time when I met him through his son when I was only 17. He was indeed a good man. And I almost worship good men because in my life they were very rare and very precious and thin on the ground, by the way. A few days ago, I found myself ruminating about my nephew, Mark Cohen. It had been lovely to reconnect with him in 2019, but we are estranged again, which is weird, kind of weird and complicated, but, you know, what can you do with people that only are only interested in money and prestige and being surrounded by wealthy people, look down and scorn on his auntie, am I right? Don't ever do that. I'm wealthier than most people I know. There is a far more valuable wealth than the energy of money. Not to say I wouldn't welcome having money if it flowed to me from a benevolent, loving source and there was plenty of it, but don't be crass. Don't measure people by how much money's in their bank account, because you'll always be banking on empty in the most important aspects of your life and your psyche, and your friends will all be shallow and spoilt and privileged and deeply, deeply disturbed by that, by the way. No, it's good that we're estranged. As soon as someone comes up to me and all they can tell me is what the latest name brand car they drive, or what their latest, how many houses they own and how successful, I think you're just fucking vapid and empty. You've got nothing to offer the world. Like, yes, it's nice to be wealthy. Don't get me wrong. It's a privilege many don't have and would aspire to. But have something to actually talk about other than how wealthy you are. It's crass. It's debasing. It's boring as fuck. So where was I? Oh yes, not missing my husband's nephew. I was reminded of him telling me in all sincerity that he had loved me so much as a little boy, which was true, to the point of obsession. That little boy loved me. But he's a man now. He's responsible for his behaviours and his actions, by the way. He was 9 years old when I married his uncle, myself only a month older than 19. So I'm actually only 10 years older than that little boy. As I had been so nurturing to him, and that when I migrated to Brisbane 4 years later, he cried for months as he felt bereft and abandoned and left alone with his awful, callow, unsupportive parents, both fucking narcissists, by the way. So he's not the only one that I left behind in New Zealand to tell me they cried for months when I migrated to Brisbane. And I had no idea that they had loved me with such intensity and almost to the point of an obsession. Actually, I found it a bit confronting and disturbing. I was like, what the fuck? But I had been very kind to my little nephew by marriage when he was a 9-year-old boy. He was a sickly child with very, very bad asthma like mine. And his parents literally would just dump him off with either myself and my husband or with other family friends of theirs called the Richies, and leave him deathly ill. One time the Richies had to take him to hospital. He was so ill, while his fucking narcissistic parents, my sister and brother-in-law, were off skiing. So he actually was treated quite poorly by his parents and really medical neglect as well. I mean, he could have died. So I was very nurturing and protecting of him for that reason alone, But I came to Australia to escape those bastards, actually, out of the frying pan into the fire again. And I hadn't realised the child had been so besotted with me and kind of a bit codependent, actually. Well, what else did he have? Very minimal kindness during his childhood. That's the reality. So when he and his wife and kids dropped me like a hot cake because I'm poor, it was pretty fucking devastating to my mind, but it is what it is, people. I can't compete with wealthy people who are shallow and selfish and narcissistic. I don't even try to. You know, my life was ruined financially by the actions of my own mother and his uncle, so no good crying over spilt milk. I wasn't able to, wealth create because I was trying to raise 2 little children on my own in severe trauma, being threatened on a daily basis for 18 months, by the way. How was I supposed to pull myself up by my boots when I was too mentally traumatized and unwell at the time? It was hopeless and hapless and evil what we were put through as a family of women. My heart bled as I know how that feels, to have idolized another human as some kind of protector or saviour, only to discover that I too was discarded or left behind or simply forgotten in the hustle and the hurdy-gurdy of life. I more than anyone understands the grief of a child who craved love, support, and genuine care, only to have that ripped away time and again. I thought about reaching out to him again, but it seems inappropriate somehow. I can't be there for him. Some days, I've just lost it. We've lost it. Where's it gone? Some days I still struggle to be there with myself. So I sent him love and fortitude. He was not the only person to tell me they felt utterly shattered when I left New Zealand, and they grieved my departure for many months. I must have made some kind of big impression on people in my teenage years and early 20s. Astonishing. I think people at that point in time were just drawn to my strength and my power. I had a brief moment, hiatus in my early 20s when the world was my oyster. I had a paid up home and babies and a husband who didn't really love me, but I was in denial about that, and I had a reasonably nice lifestyle, I suppose. I got to spend a lot of time with my children because I was able to not work, and spend a lot of time with my friends. So it built quite strong relationships that were indeed powerful, I guess. And then when I removed myself, it was a crumbling deck of cards. But I didn't do anything wrong in removing myself. I too have had to protect myself and my children and my family for what it was worth. Well, it didn't quite pan out for me, did it? It got worse and worse and worse. Me, who even at that time was just emotionally treading water with an already defunct marriage and 2 small babies. Fuck, what a nightmare, what a curse. But I have been loved, even if only from great distances or lateral squarings off, as not many could handle a closer connection with me. Hell, even some of the worst of my enemies, for example David Davidson, would not leave this mortal coil without a very determined, long goodbye. His life review must have been a fucking doozy, innit? Oh, don't worry, I'll have a life review someday too. A haunting or a hunting from the void. Well, Mama T is a zombie no more. She is a fully fleshed out, cognizant, living entity with so much love yet to give in spite of her residual scars and trauma issues. She is full of joie de vivre and a twinkle in her own eyes that she developed with wry mirth and circumspection at all the two-bit players in her life. She is in constant communion with the gods now. Old age is not for sissies. Writing this at 4:25 a.m. because my Frankenstein bladder demanded release and my sleep-deprived brain had to comply. Mama T is a walking automaton most days, but the lights are on and I am home. I see what I need to see. I live in harmony with what is, was, and always shall be. And sometimes I laugh at all the ghastly horror and regurgitated spiritual lessons that hit me like a flying fish in turgid seas. Literally being hit with a wet fish, smacked right in the face, am I right? I hate the smell of fish, dead fish. Vile. But anyway, you feel my vibe, don't you? Love has found me. I have found love, and it has been both a blessing and a curse, a hope, a desolation, and a constant respiration, holding my heart together after every rebound, every attack, and still beating its weird little cosmic song for my long-lost beloved ones. The ones who died, the ones who failed to love me in a healthy, caring way, the ones who turned love to ash, and yet from those ashes sent forth the rose of my new, blossoming, burgeoning, creative self. Sigh. Back to sleep I go. Sayonara, sweethearts. Like everyone and everything. Love everyone and everything, but love for real. Suffer no fools or fakes. The heart heals, but it takes eons. It bears strange fruits and even stranger calibrations. I prayed for healing. I prayed for truest, deepest love. It is coming in perfect timing and perfect alignment. Faith and that freckled digit dodger of fate have had their fun. Time to get serious. Life is slowly slipping me by. Good morning. I love you. I see you. I hold space for you. That was 2022, did I say? Yes, 2 years ago now. And I am indeed, 2 years later, surrounded by so much sweetness and loving and kind people. I am grateful. I really am. I would love to be in a beautiful, loving, passionate, romantic relationship. But that's not the cards that have been dealt me. So I'm rejoicing in the friendship and its purity and its occasional bouts of mischief on both sides, by the way. I'm rejoicing in it because I've never had that before, that level of romantic overtures and sweetness. And as my friend Lynn said, you deserve to be happy, Tanya, and just go with the flow and enjoy the happiness and the gifts of love. And time takes time, and Who knows what the future holds? Miracles happen every day, but with harm to none and competition with none, so that no harm is done to my beloved one. That's real love, when you know it's real, when you're protective of other people's situations, and they in turn are trying to protect you as well. Worrying about my silly old moshy neck. May 20th, 2020. I was beset by an intense emotional heaviness yesterday. This morning, my memories of my youthful folly. How life has evolved since then. I can even taste occasional happiness mixed with victory. It took 36 years to become. I'm glad I made it. I never thought I would see this day. I really didn't. It's miraculous. Crystal is visiting me this afternoon. A treat. So I need to get out of bed and get ready. I spent some time late last night updating details on Harry and Hilda's ancestry. I honour their memory as the grandparents of my daughters, even as I acknowledge the harm done to me by their son. It's not all his fault. He lacked capacity, and I lacked the will to be a submissive, ground-down victim. Totally unsuited to each other. Also, he truly slavishly served as my mother's henchman. Sick, evil shit. But I got 2 daughters out of that fucking travesty, and one still strives. Back in 2020, still strives to maintain some sort of relationship with me. So that is a positive. I wasted my youth and my 30s and 40s on abusers. But somehow, along the way, I got me back. A miracle. 20th of May, 2019. I am haunted by the Holocaust and my German ancestry, not just because I am a Jewish convert, but that I am a second-generation survivor of my monstrous abusers, my mother, Gisela Eva Margarita Phillips, later Scherer. But I refuse to acknowledge that conman's marriage, and my de facto stepfather, Cornelis Kees van der Graft. He who survived Mittelbau-Dora and Nordhausen only almost 2 decades later to constantly threaten yours truly with molestation and rape from ages 9 till 15, and then again with inappropriate attempts to touch me when I was pregnant at 20. Both him and my progenitor, vile, abusive men. Then I was expected to help him die with dignity in his last weeks and months. Expected to tell his hospital bedmate that he was my father. No father to me. Not even my own father deserved that moniker. But I was a merciful young woman, so I lied and claimed him as father, sickened to my core, so he could die happy. Typical manipulation of a narcissist, by the way. They really are demonic. They really fucking are. All of them, my entire family of origin, all fucking demonic evil imps. But Jackie reminded me to leave that past behind me and rejoice in the now and my beautiful life that I'm manifesting day by day, breath by breath. But here I continue writing, 2019. I'm still processing it all, people. I vowed never to protect anyone's sensibilities again. I had a breakdown shortly after his death. I cleaved to my truth. It almost killed me many times, but ultimately it also set me free. So it is a tad disturbing and ironic that a younger man at the casino frequently approaches me and hugs me and tells me, "I love you." I had thought he was Irish, but I found out he is half German. Like me, he is wild and joyous in his style of dancing. He is affectionate and sweet, a kind soul, or that is how he has presented himself to me. His name is Daniel, by the way. Lovely young man, younger man. He'd be in his, I haven't seen him because I haven't gone back to the casino, but yeah, he'd be my daughter's age, in his late 30s or early 40s now. So he sat beside me on Saturday night to have a brief chat. A younger woman sat beside us, and he turned his head almost reflexively, and with much amusement I told him to chat to her. "No," he says, "no, it's you I want to talk to." I told him, "I hear you are German," delivered with a smile. He replies, "Half German." There is a distinction, people. Those of us who are half German always make that distinction. I wonder why. There is a history, darlings. You kind of have to laugh. I nod. "Father or mother?" He replies, "Father." I reply, "I am half German too. My mother." He looks at me, not particularly surprised. I ask, "Where was your father born?" "Hamburg." "Wow, my mother was from Hamburg too." He says, "Oh, wow." I was really kind of curious because he was very drawn to me. He really did love me, that young man. When he used to say, "I love you," I could tell he meant it. He was never sleazy with me either, which I really appreciated, especially at that venue. And he was really genuinely heartfelt. And I think he had a little bit of a crush on me, but as we found out, our connection was via our ancestry, which was quite bizarre. I asked him how old his father is. He tells me he is 65 and married to his Australian mother. I nod. I tell him my mother was much older, as she had me late in life at 38 and has been dead for 9 years now. I refrain from telling him she was a fucking monster to me. Too much information. But he sensed the sadness seeping out of me anyway. I tease him about his eagle tattoo. I tell him it's the symbol of the Reich. "No," he replied, "I researched it well. It is much older than the Third Reich symbol." I nod. Not sure if he is correct, but not willing to fight over a fucking tattoo, especially as I proudly sport the burning bush with AA Asher AA, I am that I am, on my left arm, where tefillin would be worn if I had been born a man and kept the faith. Suddenly, stoically, with my Germanic mannerism of pushing out my chin, because fucking genetics and mannerisms are often imitated by our children, laughing my ass off, I tell him firmly, I am a Jew, although not a very practicing one anymore. He nods, says, I love you. I nod, actually a little bit astonished, expecting him to, I don't know what I expected him. Probably expected him to freak out about me being Jewish. A lot of people do. Anti-Semitism is still kind of just under the edge of things with people. It's a terrible fucking scourge, and it's always, always ever present. I find it abhorrent, just as abhorrent as I find all racism and othering of other people, but it is what it is. So I was very impressed when he said, I love you, in response to me telling him I'm Jewish. Der Junge mit der Mundharmonika. I've forgotten the words already. Anyway, what can I say, people? What can I say? He might have been the love of my life, that lad. He was too young for me. I couldn't go there. It's just not cricket. Anyway, he never asked me out, so I just took it that when he says, I love you, he means as an older auntie or a friend or a sulker. Doesn't have to always be, around sexuality and lust and dating and what have you. All those things I haven't partaken in for many, many years. I was not sure how to take that as a response, but authentic, kind love heals all divisions, gender, class, religion, race, and really, really, there should be more love in the world. Even now in 2019, no wonder I cleave to my love for that Machiavellian English wiglet. I wanted more from love. I wanted someone not with ancestral alliances with murderers and or rapists or child molesters or genociders. I wanted someone real and safe and pure of heart. But I look into the black mirror and I carve my own heart, wasted on illusions of a life reconfigured and blessed. It's an ancient 54-year-old agony. And 5 years later, it's less agonizing because I'm surrounded by people who genuinely see me, respect me, and love me. Platonically, but agape love, platonic love are preferable to false, lustful sexual liaisons with men who tell you that you're ugly or have an ugly vagina or that you're useless or that you're too poor or that your house is not good enough to be in, and all the shit that ugly, putrid fucking thing put me through. But he wasn't the only one, Is it any wonder that I'm very frightened of beginning a sexual relationship with any man, given all the cumulative trauma and abuse I've endured since I was 6 years old, by the way? If I give you my heart, it is one of the most potent, powerful, miraculous gifts I could ever give you, because I'm putting my trust in you to not hurt me in return, by the way. I don't know who I'm talking to when I'm talking into my YouTube video, but perhaps one of you might really understand and resonate with what I just said. You might see why it's been an atrophy and a subversion and an evil to have treated me so abominably over so many decades. You wouldn't do it to a dog, and yet it was done to me. And I'm not a victim. I'm a warrior goddess. So I take no prisoners. So I have no regrets for any responses I might have had in the past to people that were savage and cruel to me for no good reason other than they could, by the way. And I hope and I pray every moment of every day that dark past is behind me and I can open up to a true, decent, honouring, sincere, passionate, romantic, heartfelt lover at long last, because I deserve that much at long last, 59 years of age. It's absurdist, but it's also beautiful, and it's a dream I'm going to continue to dream until the day I die. And if it manifests beautifully and gracefully and honouringly, lovingly, I'll be the happiest woman alive, because I've never experienced that before with anyone. So yes, when I get a little bit silly at times, that's partly why. It's just hope and delight and joy and excitement and a little bit of mischief along the way. I'm a real woman with a real heart and a real soul, and it will come at the right time. The right person will honour me accordingly, and no regrets, no harm, no foul. It's one thing I've learnt from being a survivor of so many abusers is time takes time. It takes time to heal from them. It takes time to blossom out like a little sea anemone again. And it takes time to work out who is true and who is truly meant for me. And it could take another decade, or it could take a moment. Who knows? It's in the lap of the gods. Where are you wanting to go, Charlie? You're wanting to go and climb those curtains, aren't you? Yes, you are. Getting very Twitter-pated. I should put you outside in the garden. Yes. You need to be in the garden, Charlie. Anyway, we'll carry on. Wasted on illusions of a life reconfigured and blessed. It's an ancient 54-year-old agony, and 59 years I'm not in quite so much agony anymore. I guess I've gotten old enough to realise ultimately the person that loves you so deeply and truly, they'll make it so obvious you can't go into fairyland and deny and obfuscate and hide from the reality that someone's love for you burns bright and they are genuine and they do have my back. When that happens, as I said, when I know for sure, it's going to be all systems go, 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 babies. And it'll be astonishing. Time will tell. 20th of May 2017. I really overdid things yesterday. Oh my, I wish I had power surges of energy that last most of the day and night more often, but the price is too hefty. Mama T, got to accept she's not able to sustain that. I had a nice night of dancing with Karen and Tisha. I came home at 3 a.m, took a hot bath, ate some yogurt and hot tea, took my Seretide puffer, and that upset my delicate little flower of a stomach. Would have been the yogurt people. I was quite ill, so hit the hay and passed out, dear goddess. Oh, dear goddess, a hot bath with yogurt curdling in my guts. Lactose intolerant. It's a form of self-harming, actually. But I do sometimes crave yogurt. It's like my gut biome needs something to chew on. But yeah, I was probably overtired from the dancing as well, and it was just, not good, babies. Now awake at 11:31 a.m. Dressed, let the chooks out. Charlie on back table. Where are you going, Charlie? You're walking over me like you're the boss. Because she actually is the boss. I forget that sometimes. Sorry, Charlie. New times 20 world leader. The last of the new world leaders. Aren't you, baby? I'm ready for whatever life's adventures have in store for me again. Sick or not, the Tanya tempest must roll on. At least the sun is shining again. They forecast 3 days of rain. Yesterday drizzled all day, but not too much. I knew it was baloney, as the ants were not moving house to higher ground. I am glad Townsville finally got wet. 20th of May 2014, 9:40 p.m. Just got woken up by a phone call from Sydney. Some drunk woman saying, "Hello, world!" Then she hung up. She sounded a tad like my sister, my half-sister. Please tell me she is not visiting Heidi in Sydney and prank calling me. That would be just sick shit, laughing my ass off. Hopefully my foggy brain that is utterly exhausted misheard the voice. Hello, world. Indeed. I'm going to get up, pee, and heat up some soup. I'm starving. Here's a beautiful photo of my daughter, Crystal Aarons. Absolutely stunning photo. Oh, I love that girl so much, that woman so much. I do. I love her so very, very, very much. And, even though I haven't seen Jasmine in about 15 years, I love her so very, very, very much. But it's just an ache that won't go away now. But anyway, here she is, my daughter. I made that. I made that in my womb. I created that. I contributed to its mental health and its personality disorder, and I made that. I did that. That's my creation there. She's staring back at me like this. Mum, well, it's true. I take responsibility for my actions. She didn't like hearing that Mummy might be dying without realising, yes, it's true, I've been dying for 37 or 40 years, but I really have been genuinely very, very unwell with this bladder condition now for 8 years and the sleep apnea for 2 decades. So there's times when I crash and burn and think I'm dying, and like, hello, I know my own body when it's going into crisis mode. Anyway, it doesn't matter now. She can't handle it that one day both her parents will be dead, because that is part of nature and life. Old people get sick and die. He's what? My ex-husband is, how old am I now? 59. In September, he'll be 70. So he's a lot older. She's got no fucking empathy or compassion for either of us, by the way. So it's going to come to her as a bit of a shock when we finally shuffle off the mortal coil. She probably won't care that much because if you don't care, you're not affected, are you? But it will still be a bit of a shock. It was even a shock for me when my friend Elsa died recently at 94. Strong as a horse she was, but they did the equivalent of midazolaming her, the bastards. 2 pain patches instead of 1, and then aspirated her. Fuck. It's unbelievable. Anyway, Mama T is not going to put herself into hospital situations where she can be midazolined, by the way. So I'm going to die probably a horrific death, regardless of it, because I won't be submitting to the hospital system. So there is that. Charlie, can you just not hang off one boob? It looks kind of weird. I'm making a YouTube video and you're being inappropriate, Charlie. Did I show you that photo of my father-in-law? I showed it to you yesterday, didn't I? Well, here he is again, wanting to be remembered. The ancestors like to be remembered, and he was a good man to me, so I honour his memory. So, don't you poo on me. She's going to go. I can sense it. So, still not asleep. 6:07 a.m. The car goes in at midday. Queen of sabotage here. Oh well, 50 milligrams of Seroquel should do it. Fucking using an antipsychotic as a sleep aid. What the fuck? Well, it didn't do any good as an antipsychotic, did it? It was just kept me in a constant state of zombieism, but that's all it did. Then I will have to hope I wake up. I am hungry too. I'm quite hungry today. Not sure what that's about. Maybe I should just get up and make semolina pudding. Stodge might make me soporific. 30 years ago today, I got married for the first and only time. It wasn't a very joyous day. My father-in-law had died 2 nights before. We were all very sad and traumatised from his quick demise with stomach and bowel cancer. I had grown to love the old man. He was, and still is, more of a man than his son. He taught me Hebrew prayers and blessings in his strongly accented Ashkenazi with his Polish accent. He told me stories about his childhood in Baranovich. He was high on morphine for the last 4 weeks of his life, and he flirted with my German mother, telling her stories about his kids in Yiddish, which she managed to understand well somehow. It's about every 3rd word is a German word. Kind of can piece it together, what he was saying. My mother was extremely bright. My mother-in-law, Hilda, got jealous and threw us out, but it was funny, as I had never seen Harry so happy and animated as when he talked to my mother in Yiddish. My mother had a way of bringing even dying men back to nostalgic life. I had a fight with my fiancé at the time, that was my other opportunity, my get out of jail card I didn't pick up on, the red flag then and there, as my mother-in-law had lied and said we were disturbing Harry. Hilda insisted we get married. Oh, Charlie, get off that. Oh, you just saw her her cloaca. That's embarrassing, Charlie. Never worked with children and birds. Anyway, where was I? I kind of have to laugh. Perfect timing talking about my mother-in-law too. Oh, that's hilarious. I was quite fond of my mother-in-law, don't get me wrong. It's just kind of comical. Hilda insisted we get married according to the plan, as it was what Harry had wanted. I had dressed in my wedding gown a week or so before, so he could see me in it, and I was a bit perturbed when he said, "It's a lovely dress, but pity it's not green," his favourite colour. So I promised him there would be plenty of green in the bouquet, and he smiled and nodded, satisfied with that. Oh, she really is a demon bird. What's going on with you, Charlie? It's a bit chunky, bit chunkier than it should be. Oh my goodness, measuring your bird poop. I'm a mother, you can tell, can't you? It's all I've done is shovel shit for eons. Well, anyway. I promised I would give him Jewish grandchildren, and he was both relieved and delighted. It is a great shame he did not live to see his beautiful granddaughters, especially Jasmine, who looks so much like him, and Crystal, who at times looks eerily like Hilda, because I look like Hilda too. My husband really was a motherfucker. He even married a woman that looked like his own mother. And I think that might have been probably source of a lot of our problems, actually, since he treated his own mother like dirt. He thought he could get away with treating me like dirt, but I am no submissive like my mother-in-law Hilda. So I fought every inch of the way, because that is my spirit. And je ne regrette rien, by the way. Anyway, 30 years has gone like a blink in the eye. I have endured so much suffering at the hands of my former husband, his sister and brother-in-law, and my own family. All I have left of that original core family is Crystal, which I don't even have that now. She did send me a text for Mother's Day, so that was nice. I mean, it's better than nothing, isn't it? It's an acknowledgement. What can I say, darlings? What can I say? You say it best when you say nothing at all, Tanya. Harry thought I was someone special as I was intelligent, courageous and determined. I think I was the only member of that family, new or old. Stop it, Charlie. Being naughty. Yes, you are. Yes, well, you're being naughty. Look, hanging off the other boob now. It's a bit cray-cray what you're doing, Charlie. Why are you hanging upside down off my breast? Anarchy and chaos. Sorry about that. Harry thought I was someone special as I was intelligent, courageous and determined. I think I was the only member of that family, new or old, to have stood up to him, and he loved me and respected me for it. I think he would have been proud of my efforts to keep my vow to him and raise the girls Jewish. It wasn't easy after the divorce with no money to educate them at Sinai College.